Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Um,
Oh,
we are going live, ladies and gentlemen. It says it's setting up the meeting for YouTube. I can hear it in the background. And if you guys can talk up a little bit, because your voices are a little quieter than ours.
yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. Okay, we are live on YouTube. Hello, and welcome to the Complex Couple Podcast. We are so excited to be here. We have two special guests. We're going to introduce them in just a moment. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, who is Outmarket Pro. They are a marketing company that I have worked with for a little while. And I love them so much because they really highlight and prioritize collaboration with the client. They don't just do your marketing for you. They teach you how to fish rather than fish for you. And they can help you with lead gen, social marketing, posting and advertising, email marketing, geo-targeting, market research, and all of that great stuff. So if anyone needs marketing help, I highly recommend Mark at outmarket.pro. Give him a shout by emailing Mark at outmarket.pro and set up a meeting with him. See how he can help you because he's awesome. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Keith. Hi, honey.
Hi, how are you, baby?
Good.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, today we have two special guests, Ariel and Emma. Ariel, I don't even know your last name.
Okay.
We'll just do first names only.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one of the things that Keith and I are interested in general are relationships of all kinds, not just romantic relationships, partnerships, friendships, parental child, any and all of those. So could you start by telling us how you guys are connected, how you know each other, what your relationship is all about?
Yeah. Okay. So I met Ariel a year and a half ago when I was living in Maine, where I'm from, and you were working in the same town as me for the summer, for the season. And we lived together in this really weird situation. It was like this big house with this older guy who was renting out rooms. That I lived there for only a week, and then I decided to find another place that was closer to my work. But I came home one night. This is all from my perspective. I came home. I was so tired from work, and there's just this woman here who introduced herself and shook my hand, and I had this weird feeling like I feel like I'm supposed to know this person. And then we started talking, and we talked for like 20 minutes, like very enthusiastically. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is like a friend now. And yeah, we hung out a few times, probably 4 times or something.
Yeah.
Until the summer was over, and then we decided to be roommates after that, and we drove to Florida. And then we lived together for a year and a half about.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
At least a year.
So you met, talked for 20 minutes, hung out 4 times, moved in together like 1,700 miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It was kind of crazy. Like, kind of just decided really quickly, like, we should travel together. Yeah. Then we did that.
Okay,
then,
so you lived together in Sarasota.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you say, for
And
like a year and a half?
for a year and a half, and we had challenges with our relationship. I think just understanding each other and being in these sort of circumstances that we were in, you know, trying to make money, keep up with everything in our lives, and balancing things. It was kind of difficult because we're similar in a lot of ways, and I felt a sense of competitiveness in a way, and also was depressed to be living in my hometown. So finally I got fed up and I said, I'm moving out. to Colorado.
And this was
Yeah, so when was this? Not that long ago.
February, about a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had this sort of like falling out. It was like this huge amount of tension of just like unspoken like misunderstanding pretty much. And so we had a friend who was basically like a mediator for us and like really diffused the situation. We really understood each other and what we needed, and then we both were on the same page of like we need to not live together anymore. And so then within 2 weeks, Ariel decided to move to Colorado. Like, it was very quick.
Okay, Emma, if you could possibly move a little bit closer to the phone. I can hear Ariel better than you.
Yeah, I know. I have a mouse voice sometimes.
Yes.
Is this better?
That's better. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so about a month ago, Ariel moves out, goes to Colorado. Was it only a month ago? It's got to be closer to 2 months ago.
Probably 2 months now.
Almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
That happened. But we decided we didn't want to end up being codependent with each other.
Okay.
And that was happening more often than we would have liked when we were living together and trying to solve each other's problems rather than like facing our own emotions and figuring out how to solve them ourselves.
Yeah. That was a big
So it's
part
like you
because
were
there's
a married couple, but you weren't married. You weren't even romantically together.
That's exactly what we used to joke about because we'd buy food together, you know, we'd do chores, we'd pay bills, do receipts and all that. Just, it was kind of like a loveless marriage.
A loveless marriage.
But there is like a fine line between like being a friend and being a roommate because like as a friend you want to help people and like be a support system and like help with their problems. As a roommate you need to like step back sometimes and like give each other space and have things.
Even I don't know anything about what you're talking about. Space, being individuals, having time alone.
It's a tough balance. And I think that if we were to look back, like if we were back in the situation and knowing where we are now, we would have been like, no, absolutely not. I will not, like this is the end. Like we're still friends, but to travel together, to like kind of live out of a car together, we'd be like, that would never work. That
Okay,
would
yeah,
be, like,
wait a minute. I think we're like jumping ahead just a little bit too fast. So tell us, where are the two of you right now?
we're in Sedona, Arizona right now.
How the hell did you end up there?
Jennifer, it's a great question.
Followed our cult leader. And,
okay, so it's kind of short. Basically, we have a mutual friend named Carly who I had only hung out with one time, but felt very spiritually connected to her. She's a very intense, powerful woman, and really like showed me how I had to like step up my own power and how I was kind of like, you know how they say like falling back asleep, like becoming unaware, kind of like lazy in like your goals or like how active you are inside of your own being. It's kind of like that. I was in like a weird place where I was just going through the motions basically, and she was worried about I don't know, she was worried about coronavirus, which is a kind of a weird thing to do in this situation, but I think it was clear that we all needed something new to cultivate our own power. So Ariel was talking about, well, I don't know about your side. I don't really know
I was
how you got
completely
out
out of work. Like I had worked twice in the month that I got to Colorado, and then when the pandemic hit, I was completely out of work, and I was like, there's no sense in continuing to attempt to try to stay on my friend's couch much longer. And I was trying to make enough money to put down like a deposit on a home for myself so I could, you know, rent a place out there, which was about $4,000 starting out. And I wanted to live alone. Like that was my intention. I want to be by myself. I don't want to know anyone in the town that I'm in. fresh start completely. And then when this hit, I met a friend who said that they were going to camp out and try to head to California, and ended out in the desert. And then I was talking to Carly, and she was really considering coming because she was out of work and had nothing else to do. And then you decided to get rid of all your stuff.
Yeah, so
and join.
Yeah, so when I was talking to Carly, I was really nervous because I didn't really have my shit together, or I thought that I didn't, basically. And then I realized about myself, if I don't just do something, I'll never do it because there'll always be a reason to not do something. So it was within 24 hours I decided, okay, I have to go. Like, this, something feels right about this. So within 24 hours, I called my landlord, told him I was moving out, packed everything up, threw everything away as fast as I possibly could, sold my car, transferred all my bills back to my landlord. And then we left at like 10 p.m. like the next day and just started driving from Florida to Sedona. So now we're here.
And you've been there for 3 weeks now?
2.5.
What day is it? The 19th?
Okay.
We got here April 1st, so we've been here 19 days.
Wow.
She was here about 3 days before us. So.
Okay. All right, Keith, you're very quiet. You need to ask.
Well, I'm listening.
I know you have questions.
I honestly don't have that many questions because I think I'm just taking this experience in. I mean, it's been a long time. Like, I'm trying to think back when I never traveled with a companion before. So when I was younger, like your age, Emma, typically I was solo. And I think guys tend to be more solo than women because, one, we feel safer maybe. And I think sometimes it's hard for guys to get along well when they're young, when you're kind of pushing the limits of things, and I don't really look back and say that I took any trips like you guys are doing. So it's what you guys are actually doing is kind of new to me, because I think the way I was when I was younger would have been a little more difficult than maybe what you guys are doing because of, I think, being a guy. I mean, I know guys can do it, but I don't think I'm one of them. So listening to your story is new. Go ahead.
Speaking of guys, we have a guy who's following us
'cause for
live,
me, I feel
Bryce
like it would be
McCleary. Hello, Bryce. He's on the YouTube channel.
Wait. Okay, our internet isn't working very well.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we just missed all of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the internet just cut out.
Okay, well, you seem to be
So
back.
I missed like the end of what Keith said, and then I heard Bryce is on. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Uh-oh, everything's frozen.
Oh no. You guys are moving.
Okay, I can hear you, but you guys are. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think everything's back to normal. Okay.
Uh-oh, you froze. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Okay, so you've been in Arizona for, between the two of you, between 18 and 20 something days. What are you doing in Arizona? How are you, where are you living?
Okay. What are we doing? We're doing a lot of, like, honestly, we're still figuring out systems, I would say. That's a big part of this, is like, we're doing a lot of packing and unpacking, honestly.
And we're figuring out, I think we're dealing with a lot of old emotional patterns that are being resurrected to come up and heal right now.
Yeah.
We're discovering things about ourselves. Like, I've discovered that I'm a bit of a pack rat, and that I think stuff is going to help me feel better, but it's actually just slowing me down. And that's been a pattern of mine that I'm learning to shift. And I think I'm leaning towards the minimalist path, but we'll see how it goes. And Emma's been helping me a lot with just not caring about having stuff around, and showing me that I don't need things to make me who I am.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's kind of a hard thing to answer, like, what are we doing? Because physically we're not doing a ton of things, but internally and emotionally and like communication wise, that's where like what we're doing really lies. So like we've had a lot of conflict resolution and like digging really deep to the core of like where this wound comes from or where its programming comes from. That's been like a majority of what we've been doing. And we've had some like we've been doing hours of like interpersonal work trying to understand each other, and like it hasn't been easy. It's been really hard sometimes, but it's been like one of the most rewarding things ever to understand another person, but also to understand yourself. Like I have learned so much about myself and how like conflict arises because I'm just different from another person, from how I'm raised and what I believe about myself and the world. So it feels like we came out here to do exactly that, like to find out more about ourselves and each other and like be more harmonious.
Also tapping into creativity.
Yeah.
Our art, and actually having time to not like have to answer to a job, a boss, have to answer to bills.
None of that.
Life has become extremely simple in other senses, I think, to allow for this much processing to happen. And I don't think it could have happened when we were living in a home together. And in fact, we work so great as a team, I've noticed, now that we're out here.
Yeah.
And nature is a great conduit for healing, I feel.
Yeah. If we weren't in nature, I don't think this would be the same. Like if we were just going Airbnb to Airbnb, it would be like literally like the limiting, like the rigidity of the walls and like the.
Oh no, we
Ooh.
have lost our guests.
Yes.
So just a little bit of backstory. Oh, they're back.
So weird. It literally just closed randomly.
Well, you came back really fast, so good job. I was just going to set a little backstory, but I'll let you guys do it. You know, where are you living right now? Tell us about what you mean by being out in nature.
So we're on national forest land. So
Are you squatters?
we're not
We are squatters.
Yeah.
That's what we're campers.
You're what?
Camping, like legal places. We're not doing illegal squatting.
Okay.
Actually, the place that we were at now, there's a lot of people around, but there's a limit of how long you can stay. You can stay for 2 weeks and then you have to find a new place. But you could move like, I don't know, a mile and still.
And it's free?
It's free. Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing out there. Like there's no water, there's no trash. Like you have to take care of all of that yourself. But it's kind of the fun part, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I had a question. Now it's escaping me. So you guys are doing, in a way, what Keith and I aspire to do, in a way. I mean, we want to be living in a van and we have a tent, but we have some commitments. We have another person that we're committed to, making sure she's safe and in a good place. We don't feel like we can take off quite yet. But what advice would you have for us for living in such close proximity together 24/7?
You have to really be honest with how you feel and find a balance between like you time and like group time where things really need to be done.
And have separate interests. That helps, I feel. Things that you can do on your own, because it's like that much better when you're together and things are feeling good and you've resolved things within yourself that maybe the other person doesn't necessarily need to be there for or deal with. I think that we both have different skills that we bring, and like I'm really great at making fires.
Yeah.
And I like to do the dishes because it's meditative. And I hate dishes, so it works well. And we just kind of figure out different jobs and different roles that we can play. And I find it easier in team format rather than if I was doing this all alone and like cut myself off from friends and people. Like, it's so fortunate that the universe did bring us together.
Yeah. Because we would have been doing this on our own, and like it probably would have been overwhelming, like too overwhelming, I think. I think it's also really important to be like responsible for yourself. Like me personally, I've been like working on understanding codependency and understanding that like if I have like a problem, it's okay to reach out for help, but that doesn't mean to like put that on someone to solve it for you or to nurture you, because every person is like dealing with their own stuff. So like me in the middle somewhere is like what I'm working on. That's more like a personal thing, I guess.
I feel like what you guys are figuring out about yourselves is a lot of what Keith and I have been figuring out this year, having shifted from dating and living 1,700 miles apart to being married and living together. It's the same thing, like who's doing what, how do I make sure I'm an individual separate from the us of us, right? And he's doing the same thing, and understanding that, you know, if he needs to go for a walk or a drive or out in the woods with his dog, that has nothing to do with me. That's just him supporting him.
Yeah.
And likewise, if I need to go out and leave Keith behind, he's not going to take it personally. But in the beginning, it was really hard. It was really hard.
And to be honest, I mean, sometimes it still is hard because
True.
we can revert back to certain things. So it's, you know, it's something that you're, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess it's just at times it may be a little more difficult or whatever, because you could revert back to being codependent sometimes without even realizing it, you know? I did have a question for you guys. Since you've both been in this situation now for a few weeks, each one of you, what do you think you've gained, the most important thing you've gained from each other in this experience?
Each other. There was a moment where we woke up in the morning, we were both on very different pages. And I got really frustrated with Ariel, and then she said, "Now you won't look at me." And I was like, "I don't want to look at you." But then we made eye contact for a really long time. And it was basically like, she said something like, "Maybe if you looked at me, you would recognize that I'm a reflection of you, and you would have a better understanding of all of this."
Yeah.
And
nobody wants to hear that, by the way, but it's usually so true.
Yeah. But it really made me pause, and that I did see her as like my closest reflection. And then I kind of just laughed, like, "Fuck, you're right." I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh man, maybe we need to try that sometime, Keith.
Yeah.
You're not.
I'm a reflection of you.
Well, yeah.
Dead in the eye.
Locked
Straight
eyes
on.
for a minute. Yeah.
Shit. Yeah.
And I've learned that everyone has different childhood patterns, I think, that can be very different and like extremely just I don't know, like completely different worlds growing up, even if there are a lot of environmental factors that are similar. The way that people parent their children are so wildly different.
Yeah.
That the way that we learn to interact as children, we're just like, oh, this is normal. Oh, this makes sense to me. But we're never like able to communicate to the other person because it's not like those things are surfacing as we're functioning.
Yeah, it's so deep in our like reality and what we know that we don't even think that there could be another way.
You guys are a couple of the most self-aware humans that I know, and you're so young. I mean, some of the things that you
Oh my
guys have figured out, I am still working on or figuring out at 52. And how old are you guys?
I'm 22.
I'm 23.
Yeah, that's stellar.
Yeah, I will say another huge part of this is like letting go and being wrong have been like two really big learning things for me. There's so many things that I think should be the right way when I realize it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter where that goes. It
I
doesn't
don't know
matter
where you got that
Yeah.
from.
Well, I think that we all have certain elements of like wanting to be in control and like letting some parts go that really don't matter to you, like choosing your battles pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And also like we've had a lot of conversations of like getting to the root of like where something comes from. And then as soon as I get it, I don't want to do anything else but like apologize because now I understand. And like being wrong can be really hard and really vulnerable because that's really hard like in the human condition to be wrong.
And to not know.
And to not
know what to do in certain situations that are like pressing and maybe like scary or need an instantaneous answer or feel that way. So
Yeah.
you do the best you can and you realize that is not what that other person needed at that time at all. And it was hard for them to communicate what they needed because I don't know, maybe they
because they're in a different place.
they're in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the question was, but
I don't
what
either.
have we learned from each other?
oh yeah.
So tell me how the pandemic fits into your reality, if at all.
It definitely limits our exploring and being like real tourists, I think. I think it's really good because we came out here to be in nature and we literally have to be. We did go into town, like we had to get a lot of amenities.
Yeah.
Especially because we just split off with someone and we had to like re-up what we had. And then there's food and stuff like that. So we've kind of been on like the boring side of society, like Walmart.
Oh my God, you've gone to Walmart, the two of you?
Lots of Walmart.
Wow. That just hurts.
It's exhausting. Our soul is ripped.
I think it must be.
We went to Walmart 3 days in a row.
3 days in a row.
And I was like, I feel like I know all these people. Like they're all my friends now, and it's like a mad carnival.
We're all in this together, you guys. All with our masks and our 6 feet apart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, it's funny because Walmart used to be such a big part of my weekly experience.
Yeah.
Years ago, say 10 years ago. And when I have to go there now, I'm just so sad for the people working there and the people shopping there. It just feels awful. I don't know why. It's just bad vibe.
Well, if we're talking about relationships, we could talk about our relationship to Walmart, I suppose. Because it's like, I think that once you become more aware of like what is actually going on behind the scenes in a lot of stores. I learned that Target is also owned by Walmart, but they just try to make it seem.
Nuh-uh, I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Nope.
They're the same thing.
Really? Well, I mean, I knew they were like each other, similar, but I didn't know they were owned by the same parent company.
I'm afraid that I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure someone told me that. I'm like pretty sure.
No.
Yeah,
I thought Target was owned by a French company. It's a French store.
Why we say Target?
Target. Huh.
I swear, someone told me that Walmart is Target, but it
well, did you ever verify it?
She's verifying it right now.
Oh, okay, good. Like one of us has to verify.
Oh, it is not.
Okay.
It is not. I'm spreading lies. Oh my god!
I told you Walmart didn't feel as good to me as Target does.
Yeah, Target does feel better for whatever reason.
Ooh, that's so weird because I thought that they were on the same team, but they would just like market it differently to like upper middle class people.
Which would be genius.
Well, there are
it's
different companies that do that kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly.
But they do probably have a similar production line and like how they're what they're putting out is made, maybe a little bit more ethical, perhaps. But I
yeah.
wouldn't
I don't know.
imagine by far.
I don't know. Our internet is unstable. I hope it still works.
All right. Do you have any final words of wisdom you'd like to share that you want to advise people?
Your job, sell your house,
The car.
live in a car.
I would say I think you don't have to have it all figured out. That is
Oh
like
yeah, that was what we were going to talk about. We haven't even touched on that.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Living
Hey,
in the
tell us
moment.
about that. Tell us what you mean. Like you are figuring things out as you go in this journey, this segment of the journey of your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I came out here, I didn't have a tent. I didn't have like a warm sleeping bag. I didn't have like a cook stove. There's a lot of stuff I came out here with like without that. Like between the three of us, there was another person here. We had it all. So between the three of us, we're like, okay, great. We're all like, we can sustain ourselves like this. And then you realize like as much as you are with other people, you are alone in this too, and things can change. People can change their minds. And then you realize like, oh shit, I have to step up me. I have to step up what I need and get the things I need to keep living.
And also
like
purging whatever doesn't serve in the moment. Like I
Yeah.
like was keeping things because I'm like, I'm gonna need this in the future. I don't know what the future is. So
Yeah.
like going moment to moment and like deciding what is necessary to have physically when space is extremely limited.
Yeah.
Has
You know, I think
been
that is so true when it comes to physical things, but also emotional baggage. You've got to purge because you don't want to carry that with you if you are never going to need it.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of this has been about too.
Yeah.
So many different emotions coming out, like that just sit in your body until you say, okay, you can come out. You're safe to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's about feeling safe and like contained in a space with people as well, and feeling safe with the people you're around to release those things emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going moment to moment, like recognizing what feels right in the moment, and
So how did you develop that skill?
The skill of like being present with like what is.
Of trusting that you'll figure it out as you go. A lot of people can't do that.
Sometimes you have no other choice. Like if you want to
Yeah.
crash and burn, you can.
Yeah.
You could just choose to figure it out, and then you always will.
yeah, it's that thing of like, oh, if you tell your mind that there isn't a solution in that moment, then your mind is like, there is no solution, and it starts to shut
Yes.
down. But if you say to yourself, there is some way, like the first day that I came here, I ended up going hiking with a friend, and I thought it would be a hike, and it ended up being a climb of a mountain, where I was like,
shit.
yeah, literally like in between rocks, like crawling and like pushing myself against the other in order to scale this thing.
Wow.
And he was like, just find your way to the top. You'll figure it out. I'm like on the verge of death, like with a sack that was not serving me whatsoever, like stupidly hanging off the side of me that I was like swinging under rocks in order to like achieve my like the peak height of this mountain. And I was like, oh my gosh, like universe, mother nature, I've never had to hold on to you like this. I've never actually had to like ask you to hold me in this way, in this moment that could literally mean I fall off the side of the mountain and break every bone in my body just getting here. And I was like, I know that you always help me. And I ended up having a gentleman come up behind me who scaled the mountains often and he was a tour guide also, and he said, "Oh, you can just follow me up.
Wow.
I'm not gonna be responsible for you, but you can do what I do." And at the top of the vortex, he's playing a flute, and we arrive. Yeah, Sedona is a mystical place, and it'll
That's
take
a
you
beautiful
fast.
moment.
Yeah.
Desert is unforgiving. It's all
Have you
about
guys
that
been to
moment
the
of
Devil's Bridge yet?
No, I saw that on the map the other day, and I said that looks really cool. Is it
It
like
is
a legit
cool.
map? What bridge? What words?
Is it a map?
Is it? It's a bridge. Devil's Bridge. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a natural formation, and I don't remember how many feet wide it is, but there's drop offs on either side. And I've been on it when I was, well, maybe in my 30s, so older than you. But when I was there 2 years ago, I couldn't do it. I was too nervous.
Sounds right up your alley.
Yeah. It's a beautiful spot, though. You guys are in a wonderful, wonderful place.
Goodness. Yeah. I've never seen rocks like this before in my life. We haven't done a lot of hiking because the trails are closed mostly.
Yeah, they
Like, just
closed up all the trails.
Oh, are they? No kidding.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're just wandering though, like just the national forest land. Like you can just walk to wherever, and you can find your way up different mountains. It's just not like the red rocks in town.
It's not like there's a path or a trail.
Yeah.
You gotta make it on your own.
Yeah.
Okay. Keith, any last questions from you?
No, I think I'm good. I've enjoyed listening to him. It's nice
Cool.
to.
It was a good time to like reflect on our experience and think about these things for us, or at least me. Felt the same.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of work on the interior, but it's also helping with the exterior as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because your interior shapes your exterior.
So much shedding. We're like the rattlesnakes of this land.
That's amazing. What a good analogy. That's a great ending point for now. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing. And we're proud of both of you. It's such a pleasure to know you both. Very inspirational.
Glad I know you too, Mom.
I love my girl.
Love you guys. It was great to see your faces and talk to you guys.
Yes, you too.
All
right. I'll talk to you soon.
Be safe. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.